Now, we have Randy Reep this morning to talk about this, local attorney. Let's start with those 6 jailhouse calls that we're going to get Monday morning at 10 a.m. What are you going to be looking for to hear?
Well, typically, as a defense attorney, we're going to be looking for possible admissions of guilt or allusions to guilt in those jail calls. People tend to let their guard down as they're talking to their wife or their mom on the jailhouse phone, and they'll make some statements that, as a defense attorney, we wish they'd never make.
Now, these are going to be the calls, purportedly, where Shelly Zimmerman was caught, perjured.
Well, that's my understanding, that the allegation is those are where the calls come in. Keep in mind, these are jailhouse calls. We really mean that they're talking face-to-face between plexiglass and they're talking on a phone, looking at each other. So when we're saying a phone call, they're actually in person, but that's how they communicate in the jail.
Right. And the whole issue was the hidden money, or the money that the family had that they or they're accused of lying to the judge in the court about how much money they had when bond was initially set.
I know Shelly Zimmerman, that's what her perjury charge is based on, was maybe misleading the judge into how much money would be a reasonable bond to kind of control the flight risk that Zimmerman may or may not have posed.
Yeah, now the other media report out there is that George Zimmerman fears for his wife's safety. This is the first time with that mugshot we just put up on the screen there that we've seen Mrs. Zimmerman. Legitimate concern, right?
It'd be legitimate for me. I mean, there's a lot of, wherever you fall in the Zimmerman case, it's generally not mild. It's very passionate. And there are people who are very anti-Zimmerman. Shelly Zimmerman, being his wife, is tainted with that. And it'd be very worrisome for me if I was sitting in jail and somebody was mad at my wife and I couldn't do anything to protect her. I bet that's very concerning.
The perjury charge with the wife, okay, and the fact that, George and his wife are accused of deceiving the court. I mean, again, we talked about the public perception. It doesn't look very good for him at this point, does it?
Yes, but keep in mind, her criminal activity, alleged though it may be, has nothing to do with his guilt of shooting Trayvon Martin in the second-degree murder context.
Well, it has to hurt his public perception, though.
But don't you think
he's getting sympathy for this?
Yeah, maybe so, but I think the battle lines have been drawn on Zimmerman, and I'm not totally sure Zimmerman's wife lying for her husband will change the average person's perception. I mean, in many ways, as a defense attorney, I look for and find the good in almost all my clients, and I can almost find that an admirable quality. I'm not saying you should be lying to judges, but she's sticking up for her husband.
You can explain it a little bit.
I think so. And certainly I can understand it in my own mind, not as a legal analysis, but as a personal analysis. That's not going to change my view of Zimmerman, be it whatever it is.
Well, let's talk about the second round of discovery evidence, because there's a report with the Miami Herald that just came out yesterday that, according to documents from the state attorney's office that were filed, the FBI sent 10 agents down to Central Florida to start interviewing gun shop owners and gun range employees to get information on Zimmerman and his background and comments he may have made, looking to see if there's evidence that he made racial comments. What do you think of all that?
Well, that goes back to you and I talked a few weeks ago about the potential hate crime legislation, the hate crime that could be brought forward. One of the things is they'd have to show that he was a racist and that's why he committed this crime. I mean, I think that fits part and parcel to the FBI, the federal government, doing their due diligence in determining whether or not there was a hate crime here or not. And that evidence will come out and show how they made that determination. In my opinion, I think that's what you'll see.
All right, Randy. Good stuff.
Thanks. Good to see you.
Thanks for the insight. Zimmerman is due back in court June 29th for a bond hearing. The law offices of Randy Reep are here in Jacksonville at 200 East Forsyth Street. Randy's a defense attorney committed to providing the finest quality legal services. Telephone number for his office is on your screen. His website is Randy.